Welcome. It's Unscrew the News with Bruce Scholl. So excited to be here. What an extraordinary time in the world. What I don't know. What is going on in Canada? We're going to get into it. We typically do. We're going to break down some of what's happening. But I'm so excited to be here. What an extraordinary time to be alive, like I said. And I am really grateful to the Lord and putting me in this place that I'm able to talk to you. Again, I am focused, and we are focused on Alberta independence. We're doing so much moving forward, getting signatures, getting the petitions together for this referendum coming up in October. So I apologize for not being here as much, but I have an extraordinary guest. I reached out to him because he has a great event coming up in May. And I said, we have to focus some attention on that and make sure that it gets the attention that's necessary. So I've got Jeff Evely joining me today, and he's going to be talking about his event. And I want to get his take on what is going on in his neck of the woods. So I'm excited to have him join me. But before we get started, I always like to say that I do appreciate local businesses. It is definitely one of my focuses, is to focus on local businesses, and you gotta work on your community. So for me, I really appreciate it. I am not your investment advisor, but I do suggest getting gold and silver from nuggetstacker.com, local guy right here in Calgary, and he will send it out to you anywhere in Canada as long as it's over $600. Great deal. Nuggetstacker.com. You can go right through my website at unscrewthenews.com and click on the link. You'll get a bit of a discount. Anyway, nuggetstacker.com. Great service. 1-866-644-2121, and give them a call. All right. We're going to break down what is going on. We're going to get into unscrewing some news, but I am coming to you from the heart of the battle-ready nation of Alberta, and we bring you truth and optimism. Our goal is to break free from the media globalist mind control. It is April 11th, 2026. Can you believe it? All right. I am joined tonight by a solid guy out of the East Coast, Jeff Evely. I appreciate what he has done for the freedom movement. He is a retired Canadian veteran. He is the guy that stood up to this forest ban, essentially, and what a crazy thing. He's going through a couple of cases in regard to our constitutional freedoms, and like I said, it's just an all-round stand-up guy. Jeff Evely, he's a retired Canadian veteran, served in Afghanistan. You know what? He's going to have to tell me how you say that word. Nijmegen, and Iraq. Anyway, he is coming to talk about MAYDAY, Kids in Crisis. Maybe I'll make sure that I got that right. Kids in Crisis. MAYDAY, Kids in Crisis. And I want to welcome them to Unscrew the News. Thank you so much for joining me. Jeff, I'm going to make you bigger here in a second. There you are. Perfect. The guy, the legend, Jeff Evely. Thank you so much for joining me, sir.
Pshaw. Thanks for having me again, Bruce. It's great to be here.
Well, I know it's late in your neck of the woods, and I apologize for making you stay up so late. Okay. I know that you like to get up early and head out to the ocean, probably on one of your walks through the forest that is now available to you to now participate in. Who knows what's going to happen in the spring here, because it's going to be fire season anytime now, and I'm sure they'll probably tell you you're not allowed to kick rocks or walk in the ocean anymore. Are you seeing any more of that coming around, or have they tucked tail and run away?
Well, first of all, fire season started on the 15th of March. So no burning between like 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. or
The
Yeah,
whole island is trees, but
the whole province
you
is
can't
trees.
go
It's
walk in the
ridiculous.
forest.
I mean, if you saw my video where I was going around the park by my house, going, "This is the woods and this is not the woods," that was the park. That was literally the park by my house. There are gravel pathways, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the point. Is Nova Scotia is the wood. I don't know how anybody could live here could think otherwise. That's why we live here, is so we can go in the woods.
Well, you know what? When we talked the last time in regard to this absurd a ruling or absurd law that they trounced down on the Nova Scotians. Uh, I don't know if it was you or if it was somebody else, but I mean, essentially, some people don't even have cars; they just have ATVs that they cruise around on, or people get around on ATVs in general because it's just so wooded a lot of the places, right?
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people that are ATV only, but
Not
certainly,
well, not that you're living in igloos or anything like that.
no, but I mean, I live in a subdivision, and all the guys around me have, a quad or a dirt bike, or they have campers, they have everything. Like it's Nova Scotia. Like we go in the woods.
Yeah. What a crazy world that we're living in. There's so much that's has changed. I don't know if it's been about 6 months or so since you and I last talked, but I know that you're fighting the good fight, and I do appreciate that. And like I said, I saw your media release in regard to Mayday Kids in Crisis, and I thought, you know what, we really need to draw some attention, make sure that we get some people out to it, and make sure that we get this out to the airwaves and help. Obviously, this is a very important event. Do you want to just give us a synopsis, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty about it?
Sure. So the event, as you said, is called Mayday Kids in Crisis. It's going to be on the 5th of May in Ottawa, and we have a keynote speaker coming in. Well, first of all, what's going to happen on the day is 10:30 a.m. We're doing the Parliamentary Press Gallery, so we're going to try and penetrate that mainstream bubble a little bit with this one. CPAC will definitely be there. CBC, maybe not so much, but we'll definitely get some coverage. And we'll make ourselves available for the independent media outside. And at 1 p.m., we have a rally on the Hill. So we're looking for all kinds of people to come out there and make all kinds of noise. We should have a couple of people, like very special guests coming in, actually, that'll be speaking while we're at the rally. And then at 6 p.m., we have a town hall. Tickets are available on the website there, maydaycanada.com. They're $20 a piece, and we have a great lineup of speakers lined up. I'm really pleased with how that came together, actually. We have trans man Scott Nugent of What is a Woman fame coming up from the United States. He's going to be our keynote speaker. We also have Mia Hughes, who is the senior fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute, and also of GenSpec. She authored the WPATH files. And Dr. Ann Gillies is a psychotherapist and an author as well. She's written a couple of books on this subject. The Ultimate Deception, I think, being the most recent one. Also, Barry Neufeld, who just got that $750,000 fine for opposing.
Right.
Yeah, and he was opposing Soji in schools, and they fined him $750,000. So he's going to be coming in for that too. Kelly Lynn Peary, she is a D-trans woman, and I'm not sure how she's around my age, something like that. And she founded the D-Trans Alliance Canada, so she'll be there. Faith Grolu, she's a detransitioner, young woman, 26, I think. She's a young woman and quite bright and fearless, apparently, if she's willing to speak about this.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So she's going to be there speaking, from her experience and what she went through as a kid and how she was, deceived and I'll be speaking as well because my daughter is 23 years old and she's all caught up in this as well. As a matter of fact, she had her breasts removed last September at the age of 22. So I'm going to be talking about that. And I had a whole nightmare experience in Ottawa where I attended her appointments at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. That was our last posting while I was still in the military. So I recorded 5 of those appointments. And so you should be seeing clips of that coming out pretty soon because they are absolutely, I mean, they're worse than you think. They're much worse than you think. Yeah.
Wow. I am so sorry to hear that.
That's okay. Well, I mean, it's not okay, but I've been dealing with it for a while. And, might as well go after the monsters who did it to her while I wait, catch her while she falls. But, and also Chris Fleury is coming. He's the lawyer who's on the case for CASPAR, the Canadian Women's for Sex-Based Rights, who have a case now trying to change the policy at corrections services so that males are not allowed in women's prisons. So the focus on this is kids. We absolutely, this is the issue of our time. So we're looking to bring an end to childhood transition with this. It's an absolute, it's the worst medical scandal, I think, in Canadian and in maybe in world history, and definitely the worst child abuse scandal in Canadian history. And the thing is that since 2020, countries like the US, the UK, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, France, and Italy have all placed tight restrictions on puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and gender reassignment surgeries for minors. But Canada, we're going in the other direction. In 2021, we passed Bill C4, the conversion therapy bill, that basically mandates sex changes for any kids who express gender dysphoria. So you may not counsel a child to alleviate their feelings of dysphoria. The only legal option is to put them on the path to medicalization, sterilization, and a short life as a permanent medical patient. So just atrocious. And, actually, there was a study that came out on the 4th of April that I think was well timed for our event because the Finnish, they followed all of their patients that started coming in even at the start of this craze. They followed them from 1996 up to 2019, and the mean time at follow-up was about 5 years out. And the results are not good, not at all. As a matter of fact, well, I mean, and this is something that we all knew, that, you cannot heal the mind by butchering the body. And in fact, it just makes everything worse. And so boys coming into these gender clinics pre-transition are showing rates of requiring psychiatric care at about 9.8%, and after transition, it's over 60%. So they're 6 times as worse off as they are when they start out, and they're going to have all kinds of health complications as well, which trans man Scott Nugent can speak to, I think, about as well as anybody possibly can, because he's fully transitioned, did so at the age of 42 and is now 53 and just has all the worst health complications, So as a matter of fact, he was going to join us tonight, but he's been out running around at different appointments and things like this, very busy appointment schedule. So he ended up deciding to take some rest for the evening, which is totally fine by me. It's unbelievable what these people have to go through. Go ahead.
I've interviewed 4 detransitioners. Kelly Lynn Peary is one of them, and it really, it's so horrific. I think that most people will turn away from the of what's actually happening to these people. I mean, the lead up and the lies that they're told going into it is all rosy, right? You have to affirm them. And this is one of the things I was going to say, is that you would know about this whole affirming thing, which is a load of bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, if you say anything to not affirm, then you're going to jail or you're going to be vilified. because you're not. I mean, when they're younger kids, they're going to take your kids away from you if you don't. I'm using air quotes. Affirm the child. But from what I've heard from the people that I've talked to, and there was 4 of them that have gone through this, and most of them are older now because they had gone through the process many years ago, but they're ruined,
Yeah.
health wise, and I'm sure that most of them don't even want to get into the details because it's not necessarily grotesque, but I mean, it's so disastrous, and it's got to be so hard to come to the realization, that certain things, like certain normal functions, just don't work anymore. And it's scary that the doctors that are supposed to do no harm are the ones lining up to do this. I have to say that Alberta has, put up some guardrails around this, and I'm really grateful for that. And thankfully my kids have sort of, made it through the process. They're in their early 20s, and hopefully not being affected by this, but God bless people going through this. This has got to be so hard to deal with.
Well, it is the most painful experience of my life. I can say that much, and I say that as a 20-year veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. So,
and I was going to say that. I mean, as a war veteran, this is the worst thing that you had to go through.
Yeah, by far. And it is. I mean, I don't even know that anybody can fully articulate just how atrocious this stuff really is. I mean, I interviewed a Ukrainian couple. They were Ukrainian immigrants to the United States. They've been there, I think, since the 2000s. But the state of California basically abducted their daughter so they could transition her, because even though they were cooperative and affirmative and supportive and all of the things that they tell you to do, they drew the line at testosterone and said, no, we're not going to do that. She's too young. And the next thing you know, the state takes their kid away. And there's a whole nightmare that comes along with that, puts them in foster care, and there's all kinds of complications with that now, and they've spent an exorbitant amount of money on legal fees, and the process that they're dragging. Well, the process is the punishment, right? We've seen this in Canada too, where there's that father in BC who, the judge said that not using the preferred pronouns was tantamount to domestic violence. It just, really terrible stuff that the parents are having to go through, but the kids as well. I mean, I spoke to another detransitioner. Was that today? I'm losing track of the days, but he's from the United States, and a young guy, 23 years old, gay, effeminate. He's an effeminate gay guy, and they were telling him, his own doctors who were supposed to be helping him were telling him that it's better to translate. Like, you got to transition right away. You have to do it while you're really young and block your puberty, so you can live a normal life as a woman, because they actually told him, like, gay men like other men. They like masculine men, and nobody's going to want you because you're too effeminate. Basically, is
my God.
Yeah, and it's going to be so bad that you're just going to end up killing yourself anyway. Like, this is what they told this kid. He was really young. It's so abusive. I had the whole experience of them, telling me that, basically giving me, would you rather have a living son or a dead daughter routine? And
That is just horrific.
It is, and it's worse than you think, because the thing is, I was already hip to all this stuff before I ever set foot in any of those clinicians' offices. I had to come back from Iraq. I had to take leave from Iraq to go and deal with this, because they started calling her phone directly the minute she turned 16, which was the legal age of consent in Ontario, and I happened to be deployed to Iraq at the time. She had been seen there.
What?
Yeah, the mental health clinic at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. I took her there to get some counseling, because she's a teenager, and I mean, I was a single dad. Her mother left when she was 8, so I thought maybe she was still holding on to something from that, struggling a bit, as teenagers often do. So I took her in to be seen there. They referred her to the gender clinic without even telling me. And she was playing this routine, like, I want my privacy and just kind of let me do this on my own. And I was like, okay, sure, no big deal. I'll just go get a coffee. I'm not going to.
Trying to be the best dad you can. Yeah.
Yeah. And after like 3 visits, or maybe 4, I said, okay, I just want to do a little check-in before we leave today. And she was like, well, they're not going to tell you what we're talking about. I said, I know, but, just in case there's any red flags, I just want to kind of show my face in there and make sure everything's okay. So I went in there, and she took me to a completely different part of the hospital where the gender clinic was. Well, I mean, the gaslighting started right off the bat, and that was only in the early stages of the evaluation. So it was just with a social worker, and eventually we stopped attending those appointments. And I didn't hear from them for about 1.5 years before I deployed to Iraq. And I mean, she was growing her hair long, she was putting on lip gloss, she was wearing jewelry and taking care of her skin. And my mother, who was retired, was coming to stay with the kids while I was deployed until summer break. But she's calling me up in Iraq, and she's crying because these monsters are calling her phone directly now, because she just turned 16. So you don't need your daddy's permission anymore, sweetheart. You can just come on in for your sex change. Wow. Yeah. And I have several of these appointments, 5 of them recorded. And these people were abusive, browbeating, like every single appointment. I asked every single doctor to show me, you're telling me that she's going to kill herself if we don't do this. Show me how you know that. Where's the data to support this claim? None of them did it. And, they kept saying they were going to, and then they just get really nasty. Just like, oh, I don't think we're going to be able to provide you with the data that would convince you, as in I'm just a hateful bigot or something like that. And I'm telling them, like, you're talking about radical medical intervention here that includes like a massive surgery. There are risks that come with medical interventions. I'm trying to weigh the risk benefit here. So give me the data. Let me see it. And anyway, they taunted and goaded me like I was some kind of a rube. And when I would tell them, like, what I've been reading says that up to 90% of these people actually desist. It's over 90%, depending on meantime and when you follow up, at what age you follow up with them. I think it's 88% by age 23 and about 93% by age 25. Anyway, but they'd be like, oh yeah, I'd like to see where you're getting that. And I was like, okay, I'll send it to you in an email. And they say, oh, just bring it in the clinic. And I was like, okay, are you going to give me the data that you have to support what you're saying? And they were like, oh yeah, we'll swap studies and all this stuff. I said, okay. I came into the next appointment. They didn't have anything, and I had a whole stack of papers all tabbed and highlighted and everything. I said, here's everything that I've said to you guys. Every single thing that I've said, I have a paper right here to support it. Johns Hopkins University put a 38-year hiatus on these surgeries because they said that such care should be psychiatric and not surgical. You wanted to see rates of desistance? Here it is, 88% at age 23. That's where I got that. Ha ha ha. And they walked out of the room. They just left. They're absolute monsters.
Well, I was going to say that they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the truth anyway, because the mission is the the monster surgeries and getting them in the track, right? The next thing that I appreciate hearing this, but one of the things that when I talk to these people when they detransition is that they're lovingly brought into the cult of the affirming care of the transitioning cult. But then when you decide to speak out about it, as you mentioned, she's fearless because she's obviously speaking out about this, but they are they're villainized. They are outcasts when as soon as they start to speak out and say that it's wrong and I shouldn't have done it, and now the doctors are going to have to pay for what they did, blah blah blah. Do you have some stories around that as well? I mean, you've talked to a number of detransitioners as well, haven't you?
Well, yeah, and they're apostates, right? Because we're dealing with a cult. This is and a very sizable cult, which kind of makes it a religion, and we happen to be living under its theocracy right now. And they love bomb the adherents, the young transitioners, the sacrificial lambs. Are kind of like the angels in the pantheon, and held up as stunning and brave when they're in the cult, and they're willing to sacrifice their virgin fertility on the altar of wokeness. When they detransition, well, they leave the cult, and just like in Islam, apostates are marked for death. Perhaps not marked for death. That's more like the Charlie Kirks of the world. They call us bigots, transphobes, homophobes, all of these things. That's in order to get people like me. I'm not saying I'm Charlie Kirk or anything, but anybody who stands up to this cult, to try to get us killed. These detransitioners, they end up, after having been abused by the system their entire lives, they end up being mercilessly socially abused. They're cast out of the cult and witch hunted by its adherents. It's a really sad and sick thing that's going on with this.
Censored by their own government, censored and vilified by doctors and politicians that obviously don't want this to come out. No. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, they're like you say, they're cast out, but they're cast into the ditch like you're a useless piece of meat. That's what I kind of got from talking to these people, is that it's horrific. I mean, we already talked about it. We already touched on the mutilation of their bodily functions, but you add up all of these things, and then they're just cast aside. Again, they're thrown out of the club. They're thrown out of their circle of community and friends. Yeah. And it's you talk about suicidal. I mean, that's when the suicide comes.
I talked to a guy today, Johnny Skinner, and he just gave some testimony in California where they're bringing in another one of these conversion therapy bills, like the one that we have here in Canada that basically mandates sex changes for kids.
Yeah.
He's inorgasmic. Like, they put him on puberty blockers so young that he didn't develop. So he might actually live his entire life, however long that is, without ever experiencing an orgasm. And he's a young gay man. He's a young, effeminate gay man. Yeah. And so we've really gone full circle on this thing. We're right back to chemically castrating gays. It's just so sick. And, one of the things that you were just saying there about the politicians never wanting to touch it. Well, I've mentioned Bill C-4, the conversion therapy bill, a couple of times. And that was unanimously consented by the House of Commons. So all 338 MPs of the 44th Parliament effectively voted in favor of this bill. Yeah. So all the senior members in all of the parties, they're still there. All the people that voted, they're now the senior members of the party. And you're never going to get any of the politicians to speak out about that bill. So long as that is the case, because they'll strip them of their party status, and they'll be cast out, right? So that's why I think we have all of these other countries rolling it back. And in the United States, there was the Supreme Court decision there that worked in our favor, and Trump has been, defunding all of these programs and doing everything he can from the federal level. But from our federal level, like we have a law, a national law, that says that once a child identifies as trans, like the only legal option is biomedical transition. You cannot provide them with counseling to alleviate their gender dysphoria, because that would be considered conversion therapy. So we're really stuck. We really got to make something happen with this, because it's time for Canada to join the civilized world.
One of the other things that we probably haven't talked about is the ages that they're doing this at. Because of your personal experience, what was the ages that this started? Because I know in Alberta this has been stopped as far as I think it's under 16. They're not allowed to. The hormone therapy, cross-sex hormones, or any of the conversion methods. I think that they have to wait until they're 16, and that's why people are up in arms because of the bigots here in Alberta. But what are you seeing in Nova Scotia, and what happened to you personally as far as the timing and the age of the children? Like what's going on as far as that's concerned?
I think she was still 13 the first time that they saw her at the gender clinic. It's all kind of a little bit fuzzy. She might have been 14. But like I said, they were seeing her already without my knowledge until I just barged into the clinic there with her on her third appointment or fourth appointment. And like I said, there was this hiatus. There was a period of time where we didn't go to any of those appointments, and then I kind of thought everything was going in the right direction, and she needed braces. So I went to Iraq, and then she turned 16, and they started calling her. And when I came back from that appointment, or when I came back for that appointment, he offered the puberty blockers in the first appointment. Mind you, they were trying to do that when she was like 13. And they are doing that in Canada. They are giving chemical castration drugs to prepubescent children so that they don't go into puberty in Canada. Now, Danielle Smith upped that age to 16. So in Alberta, you're only giving chemical castration drugs to 16-year-olds. Honestly, like, I'll take it. I guess it's progress. That's what constitutes progress in modern Canada. But at the same time, like, I think she really just kind of played the middle ground there, split the difference. And
for sure.
Yeah, it's not that it will prevent some harm. I'll say that, but it was a purely political decision, I think, where she just kind of split the difference and said we're only going to give chemical castration drugs to 16-year-olds now.
Right.
So it should be banned.
She's too much on the fence, personally, for me. Yeah, she's personally too much on the fence for me. I think that it should be completely banned. But like I said, like you said, it's kind of a step in the right direction, and at least it's a step in the right direction, and that's the only thing that it has going for it. So I'll leave it at that. But
and to be clear, like,
ahead.
I'm not talking about adults here. That's not what we're talking about. We submitted a petition to the House of Commons. Garnett Genuis hasn't authorized it yet. It's been on his desk for about 8 days, I guess. So we'll wait and see if he's going to do anything with that. But we did submit a petition to say that under 25s are off the table. And that's the same position that GenSpec takes. And just with the level of indoctrination in schools, like my daughter, like I said, was 22. She was already finished high school, but there was just so much ideological damage that was done that once she was out from under my roof, I couldn't protect her anymore. Anyway, we're saying to ban it for under 25s. And the thing is, like, if you're a grown adult, you're not somebody who's been preyed upon by, propagandists and these groomers, then if you're a mature, consenting, capable adult, like, what you do with your own body, so long as you do no harm to another, is none of my business. That's absolutely none of my business. Frankly,
Right.
I say this is it is a cosmetic surgery. It's not life-saving. They keep saying that it is because of the suicide card, but there's no
Right.
data to back any of that up. But it is a cosmetic surgery, so I don't think the tax dollars should be going toward it at all. I don't think under
Definitely not.
25s should be getting it, especially because of the fact that it sterilizes you. And look, I mean, if you want to get it, if you're a consenting, informed adult and you want to do that, I'm not going to stand in your way. But if you ask me, I would say, well, first of all, I shouldn't have to pay for it. You pay for it yourself, and
Mhm.
go to Thailand to get it done. Like, you'll get a much better result than you will from a Canadian doctor. So it's not about that. This is about protecting children from some of the most egregious harm that I think we've ever seen inflicted on children.
All right, I have something else I want to bring up here. And you may have seen this, but when we're talking about children and being indoctrinated, you probably saw this come up a little while ago. But this is a Dr. Skelton. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I think I did see this. This was just recent. Huh?
From Regina?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the professor from Regina on gender. What is her role? Regina Teachers Convention keynote speaker. Dr. Skelton spoke at the protest against parental rights in Saskatchewan's Bill 137. Anyway, this is what some of our children have to deal with as far as.
I have worked with 4- and 5-year-olds in schools who have genders that their parents don't want them to have. Parents' rights have suddenly been weaponized against trans and non-binary and two-spirit youth. As I hear from teachers who are really worried about parents who might have complaints. And I think there's a perception that parents are heterosexual, that they're white, that they have a particular set of Christian values. I think a lot of educators feel really limited in what they can do because they're worried about the imagined parent community. And often that's the community because those parents are the loud voices in a school community. I want us to get really comfortable with challenging right-wing Christian patriarchy.
Get comfortable with it, Jeff. That's what we need to do.
That's fine. And I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I happen to think that what we're doing with this event is what needs to happen in order to bring an end to this. So the thinking here is we're going with experts and those with lived experience of the harms of gender ideology. So, I mean, she can call me a straight white cis hetero patriarch all she wants, because that's very true. But I am not a Christo-fascist. I'm actually an atheist. So it's pretty tough for, the Christian thing to stick to me. None of that stuff applies to Scott Nugent, because he's a trans man. So, and Kelly Lynn Peary, she's a D-trans woman. Faith Grulot is a D-trans young person. And I'm the parent that he's talking about. But look, this affects like so many different people. We're coming from all different perspectives on this. And we have people who've actually been impacted by it. Like Scott Nugent is actually a lesbian. This is a woman who's given birth a couple of times as a lesbian, who is now living as a trans man. And he's coming to speak and talk about just how this should not be done to kids. And there is a massive downside, even though they tell you there's no downside, it's all upside. Like there is a massive downside in terms of the detrimental impacts to your health. I tend to think that a lot of these labels that they usually throw at us, like a homophobe and a transphobe and a Christo-fascist, it's going to be a little harder to stick when they can see that, well, that's not what it is. We have people who are gay. We have people who are trans, who are against this. So I think that basically every time these people jump the shark, more people wake up. You know, we had a lot more people wake up
Yeah.
after the, like say, for example, the NDP's latest convention. Then there was the MMIWG2S LGBTQ
Oh my
plus
God.
comment. So yeah, I'm like, keep talking, guys. I want more people to hear you talk.
Oh my
When we
gosh.
when we bring a trans man up there, a lesbian, and they start calling him a homophobe and a transphobe,
Yeah.
well, I want people to see that. I want them to hear them do that, because you know, the emperor wears no clothes, and it's only just a matter of time before the right kid points it out.
Oh my gosh. That NDP convention was such a delight, really, to watch. It was. I said to I happened to mention on X. I said to I wanted to tag Lauren Michaels from Saturday Night Live and say this is comedy. Saturday Night Live is lame compared to this. This is real comedy, but it's real life. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
Canada really got the target on them from watching that. But man,
We're the butt of its
they
joke.
were just dying. Oh my gosh, they were just dying to be the greatest victim, and that seems to be the race is to see how bad things actually can be, and to challenge each other. Oh, how many victim cards can you hold in one hand, or who can be the biggest victim? I don't know what.
Well, and I think that's another factor in all of this too. Is just this toxic culture that we're in right now that commodifies victimhood, and you know, diversity is our strength and all of this stuff. And then there's this straight white cis hetero patriarch. Like if you're a straight white Christian, Canadian born and raised, then and you're a kid, and this is what the messaging that you're getting, that the country that you're born into hates you, and that the only way to get ahead is if you have a diversity card. Then you can be in the inclusive club, which is not an inclusive club, it's an exclusive club, because you got to have that diversity card to get in it. And if you have to be straight and white and of Christian heritage, then the only way to get in the club really is to have the trans card. So it's pretty appealing, I think, to a young person, especially girls. And that is what we're seeing nowadays, is that it's overwhelmingly girls, whereas historically it's been overwhelmingly boys and much younger.
Yeah.
And the childhood onset was always like around the age of 5. And now we're seeing this rapid onset just gender dysphoria, which is during adolescence. It's puberty. That's what it is. It's, you know, it's puberty.
Correct.
But according to the new definition in the DSM-5 of gender dysphoria, where previously it was called gender identity disorder, which is pretty unambiguous, but gender dysphoria is a little more nebulous than that, and its own definition, you know, as long as you feel extreme discomfort with your gender for 6 months or longer, then you meet the definition of gender dysphoria. That's puberty.
Jeez.
That's what we've done here, is we've pathologized puberty. And at the same time, there's this cultural Marxist component of it where you have to have the diversity card to get into the club. And girls tend to be more prone to social contagion just by their nature. And it has everything to do with, you know, survival in the wilderness. They really need the tribe. They need to be in the tribe.
Yes.
Whereas men, if we you know, if we have to go without the tribe, then we actually stand a chance, whereas your average female does not. So you know, the girls really need that tribe, and there's a lot of clustering where as soon as one member of the peer group starts to identify, then others start to as well. And there's just so much encouragement. You know, they're revered as the special and perfect little darlings of this movement. But as we said earlier, like it's quite fleeting, because if they change their mind, then they become the apostates and they're witch hunted.
Wow. Okay. So this is coming up May 5th. I'm going to make sure that I have the link. We've got maydaycanada.com as the website. I'm going to bring it up here again, Jeff. Is there anything else before we wrap up? I was just going to talk about the day, making sure that you get your tickets to the to your evening event. I think it was at 6 o'clock. You had an evening town hall, $20 to get into that. You have a great lineup of guests. Obviously, I sort of went through that on the website here. And anything else that you wanna mention before we sign off?
If Scott made it for this one, then he would say to donate, because I'm really bad at reminding people to donate. Even though I went out of pocket for this, and I'm actually paying for people's plane tickets and stuff to get them the speakers that we need and things like that. So I'm just trying to recoup some of that. We have a donate button there. There's a give, send, go, and you can buy merch.
And you have merch. Yeah.
Yep.
That's fantastic. And I'm going to go back to the website and go to donate. Let's see if we can pull that one up and donate to Mayday Kids. Please donate if you can. Mayday Kids in Crisis Ottawa event, May 5th, 2026. Jeff Everly is the organizer, and I think it sounds like a great event. And you've got to be there if you can make it to Ottawa for that event. I think obviously our kids are critical and very important to work on this. What is the goal? I can see your mission statement here, but what is the goal for the event? Is it just to open up people to understand, or
it's to end childhood transition, but the strategy is really, like I said, we have the press conference in the morning, so we're trying to penetrate that mainstream bubble. We will be on CPAC because they're always there, and I think the only outlets that are remotely trustworthy that would have access would be National Post and Western Standard. Not that they're only remotely trustworthy, guys, but so then we'll be doing the independent press gallery outside. So we're going to do the rally. We have a few additional speakers that are going to be talking there, affected peoples again. We're going to march around and try to catch a few people as they're coming into town for the Strong and Free conference. Maybe wake a few people up there with the march. And we should be coming back to the Hill right at about the time the question period is getting out. So hopefully we'll catch a few politicians on the way by. Okay. And then we have a petition, but I doubt that anybody will authorize it. But at least I get to say, look, we've had this petition up and nobody will authorize it when I go to the podium. So we want to apply some pressure to our politicians. Yeah. And then for the evening, we're doing the town hall, and it is ticket holders only at an undisclosed location. Because I think there are probably a lot of people out there who, especially in light of recent events with, we had Tumbler Ridge, and then we had the hockey rink, I think his name was Robert Morgan in the United States. And then we had, there was another plot to shoot up 2 Canadian schools, one in Nova Scotia and one in Manitoba. And it turned out that the CBC faithfully reported the trans identity of the would-be shooter in Nova Scotia. Juno News revealed that it was actually a male transitioning to female there. So people, I think, are kind of waking up to there is something wrong. The kids are not all right. Yeah. And those people who are just kind of at that stage, we want to reach them too. So they might not want to come to a rally, but we have a town hall available for them, and it'll be more in depth to kind of bring everybody up to speed. And before I forget, since you showed our merch shop, that was through Veterans for Freedom. That was on the Veterans for Freedom merch shop. They're handling that for us. They're one of our supporting organizations, and other supporting organizations are Hands Off Our Kids, Mama Bears, GenSpect, Canadians for Truth, D-Trans Alliance, and LGB Alliance just came on board there the other day, so they'll be up on the website very soon. I want to, I think it's important, like this is the issue of our era. We want to really rally everybody, and everybody who's against this. Now is the time. So I'm really happy with the supporting organizations that came on board with the lineup of guest speakers. I think it's going to be a really great event, and this, I believe, is the strategy that we need to adopt moving forward. It really is just going to take, I think, putting a human face on this tragedy. We need to empower the victims of this ideology to come forward to tell their stories. That's about the only way I think we're going to be able to turn this thing around.
Are you going to be doing live streaming at all? Are going to be people be doing live streaming? I mean, perhaps there's a way that I could restream it if there was something like that. I don't know if you already planned for that.
I wasn't planning to live stream it per se. Media are welcome. It's people are buying tickets though is the thing. But
True.
what I would like to do, and I'm kind of working with a couple of different people on this, but it'd be really great if we could have a documentary of the day and maybe put it out later.
Great.
We can release it later. So
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for putting this on. I know that you're really sticking your neck out by obviously, but I know it's a personal mission as well, and it's. But I agree with you that it is so important. They are attacking from all different angles. I mean, we've got MAYDAY coming at us. We've got chemicals coming at us. We've got the transitioning of children. I mean, there's so many different angles that they're coming at us. And the weaponization of the justice system, that's just another angle. And we've got to try to, keep our head above water, but, continue to pay attention to worthwhile causes. And this is definitely one of them. Thank you so much for being here, Jeff, and exposing this to other Canadians. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys, if you're still watching, I appreciate you being here. Make sure to get this out to more eyeballs. We obviously have to wake up more Canadians. And one of the last things I want to say about this, Jeff, is this could be very uncomfortable for a lot of people to witness and to understand the stories. Do not look away. It is so important. It is terrible, these stories, but you have to witness it, and you have to be able to share it out to other people, because they have to understand what these people have gone through.
Yeah, exactly. No more willful blindness. That's what I say. No more willful blindness.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. This is Bruce Scholl, Unscrew the News, and Jeff Everly has been my guest. Thank you so much for joining me, sir. It is a pleasure to have you. As usual, I say, let's stay sane together. Let's keep our head on a swivel. And this is Bruce, and I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless.